Hello and welcome to the Comic Conspiracy episode 494 for the week of Tuesday, March 30th, 2021. My name is Ryan Higgins, who's here this week with me.
Brock Sager.
Kevin.
And Charlie.
There
we go.
And Charlie.
I'm going to golf clap this, Ryan.
I mean, Toby should be coming, but we started without him, so I'm sure he'll Kool-Aid man his way into this podcast at some point halfway through it.
That's a very good way to describe Toby.
yeah.
And then he just lays down.
Well, he's at his house now, so we can just do the entire podcast laying down.
It's a very important podcast here.
Well, we had a lot to say last week about the Snyder Cut. We should hopefully have a lot to say about a lot of news stories this week. A whole crap load of shit's happened.
I'm not talking about news stories.
Since we recorded.
I'm not talking about comic news stories. I'm not talking about any of that stuff that we're going to talk about. I'm talking about this is a very special episode.
Is it?
Yes.
494.
Which is our 10-year anniversary. We started this podcast 10 years ago.
Cool. Why didn't you tell me that before we start recording?
Yeah, I know.
Because I like just dropping it on you because it's funner.
10 years, 500 episodes. Sure. Yeah. Passage of time is a thing that happens.
Brock, if you really wanted to extend everyone's misery, you shouldn't have told him what it was yet and just strung him along and had him keep guessing and guessing.
Because the game is, when he starts guessing, it's just the worst. It's really just the worst. We're better at guessing, so.
No, I knew we were coming up on it. Is that right? Comic.
29th of 2021.
Oh, well, that was a couple days ago. Look at that. Cool. Well, way to keep secrets, Brock, for some weird reason.
What's a secret? You're on this podcast, too?
Yeah, but I don't look at that stuff. I'm looking at 500, and Toby's like, what are you doing for 500? I'm like, I don't know. Recording a podcast? Like, I got nothing planned. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. What would that be? May 11th? Yeah, sure, whatever. That's a day to have a podcast. Anyway, that would have been our Black Widow podcast, maybe. Oh, that's a new story for later in the podcast, though.
Hey.
Not going to be the podcast.
Well, happy 10-year anniversary, guys.
Yeah, thanks for sticking around, everyone. See you in 10 more years. This is, I guess.
20. Oh.
See, you're just making me want to figure out, like, what is my 10-year anniversary of joining the podcast, and what is Kevin's 10-year anniversary? And then we just have all these special episodes.
That's how we sell more of them, right? You just slap that special anniversary-sized issue on there, right? That's how you get them.
Hey, my dog has decided to get a squeaky toy during this podcast, so no squeaky tonight. Sorry. Anyway, we are here to talk about comic books, comic book crap, movies, TV shows. We have all sorts of stuff to talk about, but we are going to start with one of the biggest news stories ever in the history of this podcast, and one of the biggest news stories in all of comic books for the last 30 years. This is a little bit maybe subdued compared to our conversation about when DC did this last year, because it's sort of like now it's been done, and it's less shocking, but it is no less surprising, I guess. Marvel Comics, after 20 plus years with Diamond Comics as a distributor, is moving away from Diamond Comics and is moving to Penguin Random House, which is one of the largest book distributors in the world. Penguin Random House will be the distribution company for all Marvel comic books and graphic novels that are going to be sold to comic book stores. What we call the direct market. It's not going to newsstands. This is directly to comic book stores. So if you guys can flash back a year, shortly into the pandemic, we got news that DC was moving from Diamond Comics, which had been there for 25 years, to Lunar and UCS, two new distributors that were opened up to support DC Comics moving away from Diamond. And the absolute shit show from retailers freaking out, losing their minds. It was one of the most embarrassing moments in my time as a comic book retailer for the industry. While there was definitely a lot of questions, and maybe it was a little rushed for sure. There was a lot of stuff that wasn't quite finalized. DC seemed very excited to getting away from Diamond as fast as possible. Marvel obviously took a little bit more time, and now we have them joining Penguin Random House, which again is a massive company, way, way, way bigger than Diamond. An exclusive multi-year deal, comic books trade, paperbacks, and graphic novels. So that begins October 1st. We will begin ordering in, I think, May for graphic novels that come out in October. And we're going to, I think it was the the August catalog for October. October? Yeah, sounds right. So this will be the first change since 1997 when they went direct with Diamond. Now, for myself and maybe a handful of retailers listening, this is a big deal. For the customers, for the majority of the people listening, the majority of the people on this podcast, don't mind my dog squeaking. It's fine. She's going to stop. She's going to stop any minute now.
Just let it run.
What does this mean for you? Like the DC move, theoretically, nothing. This should not affect how you get your comic books, how you get your graphic novels. If your store is a bit smaller and does not want to open a Penguin Random House account, they can still continue to get their books from Diamond, albeit at a significantly reduced discount. We don't have specifics yet, but clearly they're going to be a sub-distributor, meaning they won't have the exact same deal as they did before. I would think the people that are going to be most affected, I don't know for sure, obviously, but I would believe if you use DCBS or your store has a very high discount tier for subscriptions and pre-orders, I think in the 30% range. I don't know if those are going to stick around. Obviously, I don't work for those companies, so I won't speak for them, but the discount tiers and shipping is different, so they might still. I don't know. But you might see that change. It'll be interesting if it actually happens, if it affects some of the big discounting online vendors. I would think Midtown DCBS have special deals with Marvel. That may no longer be the case. It's hard to tell. We don't know. So yeah, this is a really, really, really big deal. I don't think you're hearing about it as much because the DC one was very surprising and it could have been done better. I think this was done about as good as it could have been. We got contact from Marvel, Penguin Random House, and Diamond all at the exact same minute. A full catalog of information from Penguin Random House, support from both publishers and our reps at Marvel. So this was done right. DC, Lunar, and UCS definitely. It was a bit of a bumpy start, but it all worked out in the end. I think for most people.
Well, one of those distributors is gone.
Well, UCS still technically exists, I guess, but they're not doing anything with DC books, so I don't know what their deal is. They basically don't exist. But yeah, it's very strange. So yeah, it's super strange. Clearly, Marvel and Disney's no fool. They know the book market, and not just bookstores and Amazon. I mean the book, physical like graphic novels in the book formats are very popular. Mm-hmm. Sales have increased dramatically over the last decade or so. They're gonna clearly use Penguin Random House to get more book format stuff into bookstores, but also comic book stores. Penguin Random House has DC, Archie, IDW, Dark Horse, Kodansha, and now Marvel and DC. Oh yeah, I said DC and DC.
Yeah, you did.
So those are big. Image is the big. Image and Boom, I think, are like the two big ones that are not through Penguin Random House for the bigger independent companies, but being able to get all of Marvel and DC graphic novels through Penguin Random House and all of Marvel's single issues. That is such a significant part of the direct market comic industry.
So you can't get Image and Boom and those graphic novels through Penguin Random House?
No. So as far as I know, do not quote me on this, but I believe Image is still exclusive with Diamond's book distribution. Diamond has a distribution chain to bookstores, and I think Image is like one of the last companies that actually uses that, because multiple smaller companies have moved recently away from Diamond's book distribution company to other companies.
I was honestly just assuming with like Barnes and Noble and that stuff carrying Image that it wouldn't be exclusively through Diamond, so that's kind of interesting to me.
Yeah, there's Hachette. Hatchet. I think it's Hachette is how it's pronounced.
Oh, Hatchet.
Hachette. There's Ingram, which is like sub-distributed. So distribution companies distribute to Ingram, and then Ingram distributes out to all these other ones. So that's kind of like a step in between. I think Hachette does Marvel now, but that's going over to Penguin Random House, obviously. And they're buying someone. Like, are they buying... there's a bunch of mergers happening into Penguin Random House is becoming like the monopoly of book distribution. They've picked up every fucking company, all these smaller publishers and sub-distribution companies. I think Viz. Who is Viz? Who's Viz's? Viz is the big one. Viz in America right now. See, that's weird. Viz says it's solely through Diamond, but that's not right. Viz has Viz is Simon & Schuster. Yeah. Simon & Schuster. That's the big, and Ingram sub-distributes a lot of the stuff. So Simon & Schuster is the other big one. Boom must be through Simon & Schuster, because I know a bunch of the indies have gone over there. But I swear, like, is Penguin Random House buying Simon & Schuster? They're buying someone.
Oh, yeah, there was a headline about that this week.
They're acquiring Simon & Schuster.
Yeah. So by, I believe, 2022, so Viacom CBS owns Simon & Schuster and Penguin Random House. I don't even know who their parent company is. They've got to be someone. Bertelsmann? I have no idea what Bertelsmann is.
Oh, yeah. Bertelsmann is the parent company.
Yeah, of Penguin Random House.
Because they have subdivisions, different book label subdivisions under the Bertelsmann umbrella.
Yeah, so Bertelsmann is the Penguin Random House parent company. HarperCollins is the other big one. And Simon & Schuster is being bought by Penguin Random House. That basically leaves HarperCollins and Penguin Random House. So there was Penguin, and there was Random House. They merged forever ago, become Penguin Random House. And now they are merging with Simon & Schuster. So Simon & Schuster and Penguin and Random House, is that going to be their new name? They're going to call themselves, the old SSPRH. So that is going to be for comic books. Simon & Schuster is going to be, or Penguin Random House, is going to become the distributor, I think, for almost every single comic graphic novel except for Image. And at this point, it can't be much longer. Diamond Book Distribution. Diamond Comics. I think it's. I think there's just some of the smaller indie companies that are.
They'll be selling Xenoscope and Crossed and Jungle Girls.
Oh, that's funny. The most recent thing that they have is from October 2020. The October 2020 sales kit for Diamond Book Distribution. So, oops. And this website is horrible. Like, what are you guys even doing? Like, there's nothing on here. Yeah, it's a lot of really small press companies, and I swear Image was one of them too. But I don't know. I'm almost positive Image is still with them. Anyway, theoretically, very little will change. This could be a push for Marvel to reduce single-issue comics and focus more on graphic novels. They traditionally have not. They traditionally have not done well with them when they've done this. I would guess, since Penguin Random House announced they are building an entire new warehousing structure for specifically to handle single-issue comics and pack them to reach comic book stores in a safe manner. They specifically said, we understand comic books are a collectible and must be shipped differently than how we ship books.
So they're not using UPS?
Well, they will use UPS or FedEx or whatever, but so we get our books right now through Penguin Random House. Literally, it's a step up from Amazon.
If that, it's
a step up, but it's a small step up.
Yeah.
They are
haphazardly thrown in boxes
with some bubble wrap on top. Yeah. They're okay. They're not the best. Diamond legitimately packs way better than Penguin Random House. So this is a concern.
That was the funny thing, because I started ordering the Star Wars novels through the store because they came in through Diamond. Diamond would ship those books in almost immaculate condition. But if you got that from Penguin Random House, it'd probably be beat to shit.
I mean, we have more damages. I have only seen a few that were significantly damaged. But Diamond has gotten better with their shipping. This is a step down, but I hope they will, now that they are taking on the entire comic industry, they will adjust their shipping method to comic stores, because we are significantly more picky than bookstores on condition. So, and most comic stores are non-returnable, so it becomes a very different thing. I think this is going to be a bit of a learning curve for them, but I think they're going to do it. They acknowledge that they need to ship the stuff differently. So, yeah, if your comic store sells you Marvel comics out of it takes your money and puts it in a cigar box under the counter, and their most recent computer is like an Apple IIe, you probably want to tell them that they're going to need to do some significant changes. If they still fax their orders into Diamond,
Diamond still has a fax number?
Every single month, we can get a fax form from Diamond for our monthly order.
Holy crap.
If they provide it, that means people use it. So, yes.
Well, speaking of people using things, isn't DC bringing back their physical solicitation?
They have canceled their DC Current little booklet thing, their little checklist. As of right now, there's no plans for anything else.
Oh, Jesus.
So it's all digital now, baby. You don't even get that. You don't even get that catalog and that checklist. I believe that Marvel Previews is still going to continue. It's not going to be called Previews, but it'll be called Marvel something. And Diamond still will technically distribute Marvel, but no regular store will use them because the discount's going to be horrible. So yeah, this is again, very, very, very big deal, and I'm looking forward. I hope Marvel and Disney will significantly increase their book and young adult and all ages and kids books. They do a lot, but I would like to see a bigger focus on it. Disney does
a more streamlined one.
Well, the problem right now is, and this is not just Marvel, this is every company, everything's out of print. Manga, you can't get like any volumes of any manga right now. Everything's out of print. DC's going back to press on everything. Marvel, everything sells out immediately. This is not just an omnibus thing. This is major, big titles. This does not work for Penguin Random House. They can't have fucking Civil War out of print like it is right now. All the Falcon and Winter Soldier books are out of print right now. Vision, Scarlet Witch books are out of print right now.
What? They just came out.
Yeah. No, they've all been out of print. Everything's out of print. They don't come back till like April. And almost every Star Wars book is out of print right now. All the Marvel graphic novels,
the epics and stuff
all the Darth Vader. No, not just epics. The main lines.
No.
The omnibuses, the hardcovers, the soft covers. The part of this has to be Marvel just going like, we need to fucking haul some ass on getting trades back in the press. And Diamond, whether they just can't afford it or they can't warehouse it, Penguin Random House can.
Yeah.
So I think you're going to see Marvel make it a staggering push into graphic novels being in print and available, and doubling, tripling print runs on omnibuses. They have to. It's awful right now. Mm-hmm. Everything goes out of print. I mean, I'm ordering more because everything sells out, and then we're going to start getting allocated, I think, because like they're just not printing enough. I have no idea what's going on. Like, we can't do any order increases. So yeah, there's going to be big changes in the next couple of years for Marvel. I hope. I guess it's good to sell out. That's okay. That means they're doing very good, but they should have more available. Bookstores don't understand. What do you mean you're sold out of the popular thing? Right. That's not how this works.
Yeah. People come down to a bookstore and they're going to go, "Where's the thing I can read for Vision Scarlet Witch?"
The Harry Potter and the Stephen King book is not out of print when it launches. That's just not how this works. So we'll see if they can change. Now the big question: is DC going to have their single issues published through Penguin Random House? Is Lunar going to stick around? That's a big question. And there's a lot of talk about Penguin Random House wanting a comic company. They got one. Maybe they want two. Maybe they just want the entire industry. They get DC. Image is right there. They get Images over. That's everyone.
Well, no. See, Marvel goes to Penguin Random House.
95% of the industry.
Penguin Random House basically goes. It starts to entice DC. They entice DC, and then they just buy Diamond out completely and absolve them for the rest of it.
So the one thing Diamond does have, Diamond has the warehousing. They have the warehousing for single issues. They have the know-how. That is a possibility. The Penguin Random House could just buy Diamond for their warehousing. That is possible. But they're building one. But if they want to expand more, that's a possibility. But I don't think Penguin Random House wants to get into toys and merch at all. I mean, maybe, but Kevin's a big.
Well, the thing is I think like so.
That's going to be Diamond's saving grace. I could see Diamond tripling down on toys, but right now their toys fucking sucks. They're so bad at getting stuff to us.
Yeah.
I've stopped using them almost entirely. We moved over to other distributors for toys because we're having so much trouble getting anything from them. And I don't know if that's just a problem with they just can't pay the distributors. So.
All I know is I still don't have a Catwoman wedding dress statue.
Well,
Those
that's
bastards.
DC. That's not Diamond. That's DC.
That's okay. As long as you can get me my Goliath figure from somewhere, I'm fine with it.
Should.
And that's just the first of many. I will have gargoyles.
Yeah, those figures are great.
Well, so you can say that customers may see one effect out of this, which is you were just kind of listing it. Marvel's stock, I don't want to say Marvel, but let's just say the Marvel operation getting their shit together, because a book distributor like Penguin, like fill in the blank, you just kind of summed it up, but I was just bringing it back to the beginning where you said customers are probably not going to see a difference. They may see a difference. You may actually get a Marvel book. Here's a shocking idea.
Yeah.
Hey, wait.
I'd like to buy this book. Oh, sorry, we don't want to sell it to you. Oh.
I'm actually wondering if there's anything in that would affect... Because, Marvel doesn't often do like a misprint in the omnibuses or something, but it does happen occasionally. Mm-hmm. And I'm wondering with a larger distributor and such, if that creates a bigger problem or not, just because obviously most of the time what happens with something like that is it goes through communication back to Diamond, to Marvel, to etc. to work out what to do about that.
Yeah, it's going to happen. Books get misprinted, I would think, Penguin Random House is probably more pressure to not misprint. I don't know that Diamond had the pull. Marvel was the big fish in Diamond's pond.
Yeah.
For Penguin Random House, I mean, it's important, but it's not that important. Like, they clearly want this, but they exist fine without Marvel and without the entire comic industry. So this is not.
There's more of a chain of, oh, we got it done, we got it printed. Okay, now check to see if it's correct. Okay, now we go to the full print, right?
I mean, no. They send.
No, I'm saying like for books and stuff. Like they probably have. They probably have it for.
I'm not. Yeah, I mean they have like the uncorrected proof and stuff.
I think they do I think advanced copies are kind of where they get that run that might have mistakes, and then they go and they fix it in the advanced copies.
Yeah, they have like a preview, but that's I don't know if that's for everything. I mean, I'm sure they do, but I'm not sure how it works for comics. But yeah, I'm excited to see what the change is. Yeah, Kevin, my point was less the positives. I meant like, your store's not going to carry Marvel anymore.
Right,
some stores did straight up boycott DC.
I remember that. I remember all that chest pounding and that's it. We're done with DC.
So do I.
So
a lot less chest pounding this time.
Yeah.
So I'm aware that Ryan stopped following the retailer boards and stuff around about that time.
The private. I still follow one of them, but not the rest.
It's Charlie. I'm the sacrificial lamb on that.
Yeah. So I guess I'm just curious. Has there been any pushback in the boards in this one, or is it? I mean, part of this I kind of feel like is Pandem Random House. I know a lot of the pushback that dealt with the DC side was this idea that it was going through competition and that kind of stuff, which Pandem Random House, Penguin Random House.
They probably have a Pandem they probably own Pandem something.
But is not competition in any way, shape, or form. They're just a straight up distributor as far as I know.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they don't own bookstores or anything like that. Yeah.
They publish the classics.
So right now it's really them, Scholastic, Simon & Schuster until their merger happens, and that's it. I mean, Diamond and Image, but as long as Diamond keeps Image, that's big, very big. If Image goes, I don't know, man.
I mean, look how much Diamond's dwindled with losing DC and Marvel now.
I mean, it's 80% of the industry.
Yeah, it's like they've gone from, oh, look, we did all this to okay, we distribute this much. It's like, look, your warehouse was 70. Your warehouse was full. Now it's 75% empty. There's nothing to fill that void. So,
Charlie, without I can't technically answer your question in a public forum. But let's just say that I did not have the will to click through 100+ comments under the announcement.
Okay.
Well, I'm
sure it was all celebration and
I'm sure it was well reasoned and thoughtful dialogue back and forth about the pros and cons.
The problem is
you were on the internet, right?
Was the DC one was 700 or 800 replies. Yeah. So clearly a much. Yeah. In the other group I'm in, again, no specifics here, but there was very little complaining.
Yeah. Well, I think because we've been through this in the industry. It's with DC recently. It's not like it's a huge thing that came out of nowhere. DC just did it kind of at a really inopportune time.
Yeah.
With COVID and all that stuff. Now, what this does is I saw this announcement and I was like, okay. And one of the best things I saw on the internet was this sticker didn't really hold up very well. Our comeback's going to be bigger than
and I'll say the same thing I said when DC left. On a personal note, nothing against Diamond. While we've had issues with them, there's always issues with I think every company. Really, it's just something that can be improved. I think they did a good job, and I think they did a smart thing, stopping distribution during COVID. I think they've been there. They've floated a lot of stores, especially back in the day. Less now, but they've always been there for the industry. There's some good people that work there. I'm friendly with a number of them. I think they just. I get the sense that there is some inventory and stock issues and possibly some financial issues. And I think those are the biggest problems. And it's not personal, it's business. And, I really think that's just the case. Penguin Random House is solid, and Disney, I mean, really, Marvel does not exist in this equation. Disney's like, look, this is the path forward. We have to consider this path. Diamond is good for what it is, but we will put all of our Marvel print material into one place. It's not some stuff goes to Penguin, some stuff's to Simon & Schuster, some stuff's over here, some stuff's to no, this is every book format thing that we publish. It's a Marvel book, goes through Penguin. So, makes sense. They save a couple bucks on the back end too, because they have a different discount schedule, free shipping, which is always nice. Some stores pay significantly more than we do for shipping, so we may lose 1% or 2%. They may gain 1% or 2%. So that's good for those stores. Yeah, I got nothing else. It's big. We'll know in the next few months.
Are you able to do it FedEx freight?
Don't know. I don't believe so. But we'll find out. Well, obviously, they're going to have to change up a lot of how they ship stuff, because a lot of stores are in our position. Because we split a pallet with another store. Can we still do that? I don't know. I have no idea. Probably, if we wanted to. Could we get it shipped differently than how we get it? Maybe. We don't know. I know my email with a handful of questions has not yet been answered, and that was a couple days ago. So they're overworked, understandably, but hopefully I get some answers in the next couple.
Well, they're still having to print those dot matrix printer things for the getting the fax questions going, and
yeah,
the Apple II is printing on an archaic printer. So
yeah. I sent them along info on Comic Hub and what we need and what the invoicing needs to be. There potentially could be some hiccups at first if they don't get some of the back end stuff done, but I think they'll do it. Moving from that to something else that's just
shop talk.
I would say maybe not quite as big, but boy, did it bring on some conversations this past week. Comic-Con International San Diego, also known as San Diego Comic-Con or SDCC, had a hell of like a 72-hour period. Comic-Con announced a November in-person 3-day event, which we knew was going to happen. They then announced it was going to be on Thanksgiving weekend.
So I'm guessing somebody accidentally hit send on something that was supposed to be released on April 1st.
Maybe, but they sent it. And then on Monday, they said, well, maybe not. We don't quite know.
One of the busiest travel holiday weekends? At this point in time, they're just going to compete with Christmas. Well, it's just Comic-Con or Christmas with your family. Pick one.
Toby, I'm sure, if he wanders into this conversation, I know he said there's all these different conventions that are going on within those first few weeks, into November, December. I think some October. I think there was supposed to be another toy or game show that same weekend, which is Thanksgiving weekend. And
and plus Emerald City's the first weekend of December.
Yeah, I think there's 4 weekends or 4 cons and 5 weekends.
Yeah. Yes.
Between November and December.
Yeah.
The big cons.
Right.
C2E2, right? Is that the delayed C2E2s in there too?
They had. Hold on, I'll check while we're talking. Just vamp for a second.
Yeah, I can't. There was a couple different cons, but after saying that they were going to do this, they had this whole big bit that came out on Monday that said, "Currently, we do not whether having this event in November is even feasible, as we are in the midst of a pandemic." And So clearly they're like, we're going to do this Thanksgiving weekend. And everyone was like, are you fucking crazy?
Although it was funny, I saw a few pros who were like, you know what? I've been cooped up with my family damn long enough. I'm going. I can't wait to get out of the house.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be busy. People would go. And this is just the problem with these big conventions. Come November, we could be 100% fine, and it could be totally normal. And, masks maybe, but like around June, July, California could be great. The whole country could be great. Or, more than likely, it's still going to be going on, and it's not going to be great. And there's going to be shitloads of unmasked, unvaccinated people all over the country, and numbers will be going up and down like they always have, and people are still dying, and we're not out of this yet. And with Comic-Con and these big conventions, you have to plan so far in advance. Any of them, especially California, dude, just not happening. If there's even a hint that it's still bad, maybe you get. So I was talking to Toby about this before. Did you guys see this thing about SAC Anime, the big Sacramento anime convention?
I saw you were talking about something. I just didn't follow it.
They are holding their date at the convention center where they do their convention. That is currently being used as a COVID vaccination site.
Yeah.
They are not releasing those dates. They are going to hold SAC Anime as of this recording. They are going to hold SAC Anime, its scheduled weekend, and kick out the vaccination site for 3 days. Technically, these conventions are not conventions. They are swap meets, so there are no guests. It is simply dealers. They are no longer considered a convention for the legal standing in California, because they cannot be conventions in California right now, but swap meets, there can be. So it is not a traditional convention. But yeah, people are pissed about that.
Did you see the tweet that SAC Anime put out about this?
When?
Okay.
Today?
Well,
Yesterday?
I'll tell you. I just pulled it up today.
Oh, let's see. Oh,
we are aware of the concerns regarding the Placer County. That's the county, for those outside California listening, where this is all happening. The Placer County Fairgrounds vaccination clinic closing during our event. Period. The clinic never had plans to be open during the scheduled time and declined our offer to restrict our event space so they could remain open. Period. The clinic already expanded all the vaccine appointments beforehand and saw no need to extend their dates at this time. Period. As always, we work closely with county health officials, covering all guidelines, and schedule the dates far ahead of time. End.
Uh-huh. That's a little bullshit if I've ever heard it. Come on.
They were never going to be open, Ryan. They weren't giving vaccines during that time, so it's fine to have SAC Anime.
Since there was something scheduled for that con, they didn't, or something. Since there was something scheduled for that weekend, they didn't book vaccinations for that weekend because there was something scheduled for that weekend.
Yep.
Totally normal, totally fine.
Yeah.
My favorite part of that message was specifically the part about reducing the size so they could still be operating at the same time. Not saying we'll postpone our thing, more just like, it's fine, we can do both.
Could you go and get your shot and just walk next door in the next building and go to SAC Anime?
Like the part where they go, oh, we're talking with county health officials. I'm like, so you're gonna have like a swap meet thing with a vaccination so people can get in line, get their lanyard and a shot? Like, come on, how are you doing this? Like, are you working together? Like,
it's yeah, what the heck are you guys gonna do?
I mean, that San Diego sounded like it would be the way they wrote it up. I'm not saying it's going to happen or not happen. I'm done taking bets on any of this shit. But the way they were describing it, it sounded more like, and this is going to be a very California reference, so sorry for everybody else in the country listening. It sounded very much more like a big WoW show than a traditional quote unquote Comic-Con just compressed.
Well, it probably would fall under that swap meet, where it would not be a standard convention.
Yeah,
which I think they said
pros become dealers at that point because they're dealing in their art and they're dealing in selling merchandise.
While open to all and with the hopes that we will be able to accommodate fans from all over, we understand that due to potential travel-based restrictions and challenges, Comic-Con Special Edition is what they're calling it, may be an event attended mostly by fans more easily able to travel to San Diego. So that's their quote. So Disneyland, right? Disneyland is reopening end of April. Severely limited numbers, right? No indoor rides. Very, I mean, and despite my concerns, Florida Disney World seems to have things pretty under control.
If you don't wear a mask, you go to Disney jail.
You get kicked out immediately. Yeah, they seem very strict about it. I had a friend that did the Taste of Disney this past weekend, which is their like food and wine thing in California Adventure. And he said this was like barely anyone there, but you can't really do anything. No rides, no attractions. It's all outdoors. You're walking around. While I personally would not go, I think something like Disneyland may have, it might work okay. And they're limiting it, at least to start, to only be California residents. I'm sure that's one, to greatly reduce the amount of people that can go, but two, people from California are like fucking used to the masks, used to all the restrictions, some of the most heaviest restrictions in the country. If they open it to every fucking bumfuck country or every bumfuck state, they're all going to wander in here and not want to wear their masks, right? I'm sorry, but like, people are going to come from Texas and Michigan and all this shit.
Spring break in Disneyland!
Yeah, well, that's exactly what's going to happen. I would feel, at least if they're limiting it to people of California, nothing against regular people in those other states, but assholes. Not that there's not assholes here, and they're all over Orange County, but they know. They can't be like, oh, in my state, no, they know. If they're going to Disneyland, that mask can never come off, except when you're in the eating area. And very socially distanced and everything. So Comic-Con, they could be like, look, we're going to open Comic-Con to residents of San Diego. It's 5% capacity.
Yeah.
It's big thing. You're going to have your vaccination passport, right? I mean, there's all. Well, I mean,
it's the Comic-Con Reed Pop who runs that, and Emerald, and I can't remember what other con they do. New York, I think. Reed Pop could very easily say, no tickets sold without a vaccine card.
Yeah.
Like, that's their business to make that a policy if they wanted to do it.
Oh, you don't think Disneyland takes everyone's temperature when they come through the gates?
Yeah, but temperatures.
I know, but it's one of those things where it's like, yeah.
I will just say, it's, as we're recording this, is Tuesday. 2 days ago, for the first time, and I can't even tell you, I sat at a restaurant table with 3 other friends eating a meal together. And we're all been vaccinated, but I hadn't sat in a restaurant with anybody, let alone a group. It was so weird. I can't even tell you. This is going to be real weird adjustments going back to things.
Well, everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to go back to Comic-Con. I'm like, a lot of people are going to be like, like kind of at arm's length, like that fucking walk across the train tracks. No, I'm not doing that for like 5 years at this point. I will never want to be in that line again.
You could just be helicoptered in on the roof and walk down in that way.
This is my quick question. Why would you go to a place that is notorious for having something called con flu?
Well, that's
right.
That's every con, dude.
I know, that's the thing, right? Why would you go to something that's...
Well, this is a legitimate thing here. My hope is we don't backslide immediately to the fucking Neanderthals we've always been. My hope here is this has caused some people to go, holy shit, I need to carry hand sanitizer. I need to take a shower. I need to wash myself and act better at a convention.
Hey, take a shower. You're talking to people at a Comic-Con, dude. Take it easy now. Again, don't be crazy. Don't be crazy.
Some people. If I am sick, I don't go or I wear a mask. This is a turning point for not only like the nerdy society convention people, but the country to really be like, let's actually do some of this stuff because it's really helpful. And I don't want to get sick and I don't want to die, but I also don't want to just get the flu every fucking year because I'm surrounded by nasty people.
Also, especially around here with the tech industry being at home now, the traffic is so much less.
Yeah.
It's the air is better this year. Even though we have some of the cars back, it's not as bad.
So I don't know if you guys have seen this. It took them a little bit, but they figured this out. Not only CGC, but also all the conventions are now like, dude, we can still make all the money we want. We just don't have the celebrities there. You have a 30-second Zoom conversation with the guy, and they sign your book for $500. Yeah. CGC is doing autograph sessions with every fucking celebrity. They have fucking Vision and Scarlet Witch doing an autograph session soon. All the you mail your product to the company gets them to sign it, dude. No celebrity wants to do conventions. None. They say we love it, blah, blah, blah. We get to meet the fans. Are you kidding me? They would all rather be sitting at home making $100 a minute. More than that. Making $500 a minute, sitting around.
That's the A-listers. Don't forget those aisles at cons of the...
Oh, I know. But
those people need cons, though. Because no one's going to mail in for... I don't want to call out anybody. I really feel shitty calling somebody out. But... No one's going to mail in and pay for all that rigmarole for Star X from a 1970s TV show that hasn't been on the air in 50 years.
Maybe.
Yeah, but that's where you get into 50th anniversary, cast reunion, get all the signatures. There are definitely ways to cash in.
All the Star Trek cons have kind of figured this out, and they're like, "Yeah, we get the big guys, but we get the little guys as well. So we lump them all together. They're just you just tack those guys on. Yeah, if you're the one random person left alive from Lassie, then maybe. But sorry, Timmy. But he was a staple, man. I saw that guy every single convention I ever went to for years.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it's tough. You just don't know what but for the big guys, yes, they don't need to do anything. They've got this figured.
So for me, and this is the thing that still weirds me out to this day. Some of the earliest cons I went to, there were yes, you have your Lou Ferrigno that I saw at every con that I ever went to practically, but there were some really good celebrities and stuff at some of the really small cons I went to in the early days that just had a table that wasn't swamped. And it may not mean a lot to a lot of other people, but that's where I saw David Carradine one con, and I was just that's amazing. And nowadays, I kind of feel like a lot of those people that get shipped off to cons go through one particular agency and stuff, and they really sort of pack in these celebrities are signing at this time. These celebrities, it's no longer just this celebrity at this table, except for a few handful that have kind of kept doing it that way.
Well, and two, it's also, are cons going to pack halls and have panels and stuff with, people in close proximity to one another? How soon is that going to happen? Or are they just going to convert over to a digital format where that they can actually, be seen by a lot more people and actually go, oh, let's tack an advertiser on here and make a ton more money that way?
And control it, not be weird. It can be way produced. Hall H is great if you're there, but it's nothing to everyone else. I don't know. We could have a totally normal Hall H in 2022 with 1 billion people, but maybe not.
You asked for everybody's guess. I'm going to say 2023. You're going to have a Hall H and A-list celebrities at cons, and I think you're going to go, well, they don't want to be there. Why would they be there? Why could the con organizers will make it worth their while because you want to have those people there in the building. That's your prestige. Yeah. So,
and especially when you deal with Comic-Con, a lot of the celebrities and stuff that are there to promote something for a particular studio and that kind of stuff. That's all not even necessarily the con organizers doing it. It's the studio saying you will be here promoting this new TV show or this new movie coming up, etc.
But
that's a completely different beast.
Yeah, but is Disney going to do that, or are they just going to do D23?
Yeah, but that was already being talked about even before COVID and the lockdown. That's a completely different
But there's even vaccinated. There's a legitimate risk of putting your multi-million-dollar celebrity out there in the public, right?
Yeah, but from like that, like I agree with you. It's never going to go back to exactly what it, or at least I don't think it will go back to exactly what it was. But I think you will still see stuff better produced. You'll probably have more cameras and stuff up at the front to do better thing. Move the people back, set up the bigger screens. Like they could even get to the point where they have a limited amount of people in Hall H, but they also have screens set up in other places at the convention that are showing exactly what's going on in Hall H with the same people, making sure people aren't recording it, etc.
You'll just sign up for a time window that you're going to go to the con. They're just going to allow people in groups and waves.
Well, I believe WonderCon was this past weekend. WonderCon at Home was this past weekend. Did anyone
WonderCon at Home was this past weekend?
Single thing about anything?
No.
Yeah.
I found it so depressing last year. I'm not a big panel goer at a con anyway. I'm more there to see the people.
Yeah.
I mean, like literally one-on-one, not sit in a panel and see people. So I don't go to a lot of panels anyway, but damn, I tried it, man. I really tried last spring.
Well, I looked at the schedule of panels and I was like,
yeah, right.
There's absolutely nothing that I would ever want to watch. I think there's options with like the Disney or the DC thing or a digital
DC Thunderdome
D23
thing.
But like, Comic-Con at Home or any of these, they've a bunch of fan panels is not what I'm here for.
Well, and
for people that like that stuff, it's just you've got to. The expectations have to be so low for those type of panels.
I guess for me, and I mean, I don't know. So when Comic-Con was going on, there were plenty of times if I wasn't there, I was watching various panels and that kind of stuff. Like, it's not to say that I've never engaged in the panel stuff, but realistically, it is constant nowadays. Like towards earlier in the pandemic, during the pandemic, there was, I'm trying to think of what Josh Gad's show was, but it was like the Reunited Apart that would basically have like a Ghostbusters reunion on his thing one week and a this reunion this week and that kind of stuff. And that's the kind of stuff you used to get at cons. Nowadays, it's just various YouTube channels and things, and honestly, it makes it very hard for a con to put on something that's going to entice me to watch the cons panel versus one of these other ones. And even then, I haven't been watching those lately.
There's just not a lot of things to see. There's no news, right? I mean, that's what that's the great thing about panels is that you're there for the news, you're there for the trailers. We can move away from con here because we have a bunch of other stuff.
Yeah, we better lightning round all these other topics.
Who called it?
Everybody?
What's it?
Oh, that's true. Yeah, I think everyone called it. Black Widow becomes the first MCU film to debut on Disney Plus. Only in theaters? Not anymore. Black Widow pushed back also to July 9th, and it'll be on Disney Plus for $30. Done. Take my money, Disney. I said I would do it, and I'm going to do it. Ryan the Dragon, it's okay. I don't really care enough. Maybe I would have seen it in the theater for my movie pass. Kevin, you're just going to the theater. You're vaccinated. You're good.
I will. There is no way in hell I would pay $30 for that. The Wonder Woman broke me. I don't mean financially. I mean, it broke my spirit. This is at the low end of my interest in Marvel movies anyway. So I would either go to the theater or I would watch it when it's on Disney for free.
Okay.
Those are the two choices.
Yeah.
My kids are probably going to want to watch it, so it's cheaper for me to do the Disney Plus than go to a movie theater.
Yeah, I would think you and Charlie, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's just 30. My daughter wanted to see Raya the Last Dragon, but I was like, yeah, no, I'm going to hear my son complain about it, and it's not worth it for just two of us to watch. So I said, it's out for free in June. We'll watch it in June. And she's like, okay.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, no, and I said, look, if it comes out, I'm pretty much not intending to go to the theater this year unless something, again, like I said, dramatically changes. So July could be pretty dramatically different, but as of right now, I don't plan to go to the theater. So yeah, I'm all in. And for me, Leanne, it's 25 and change probably for 2 tickets. So we're still, Leanne says she
got gas and getting there and dealing with concessions.
So I'm good. I think I'll jump on this. So
I mean, I'll like most comic book movies. If I have the opportunity, I'm gonna end up watching it twice anyways. So
yeah, you could end up watching it in the theater and see it at home. So
well, no, I mean in general, a lot of times I watch it once. And then I end up watching it again. Sometimes it's because I went to go see it late at opening and then took my family a few days later or whatnot. But it's not.
Oh, yeah, I've done that numerous times.
It's not unheard of for me to end up even at a movie theater to see something, especially a comic book movie, multiple times. So paying that for this just means it's almost guaranteed I'm going to watch it multiple times because it's right there and available.
Yeah, and it's much cheaper for you to do that, with your family size. So, like my family size, it's just at about the right price. So, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you guys think with it do you think it's a kind of a weird move, especially with Warner Brothers just doing the straight movie and release at the same time for an entire year? Like, do you think?
No, and I mean they've already, or at least from what I've seen, it's already been established they're only doing that for this year with HBO Max and such.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as I'm kind of concerned, this is really a very limited window where you pay for it. They get as much money as they can between the release to theater and the quote unquote premiere access. And then it goes up anyways, kind of thing. So I think from a business perspective, they're doing everything they can to bring in the money that they should be bringing in on a movie like this, even though it still won't be as much as it normally would be.
And I think you just have to get the traffic moving because they have so many other projects that they can't keep holding it indefinitely.
Well, there's going to be like 40 movies in 2022.
And plus the I think the Florence Pugh character from Black Widow is in something else later. She's in another show or movie. So like you're not going to introduce her in something else when nobody's seen Black Widow.
Right.
See, Ryan, if you were really looking out for us, you just rent out a theater for us.
I can. I mean,
and we could all chip in X dollars.
If they're still doing that, I mean, that's possible. Yeah. We might be able to if everyone's vaccinated. Stay apart, and we'll see. Talk about HBO Max and not going to the movie theaters. Suicide Squad. Finally got the trailer for Suicide. Sorry, the Suicide
Squad.
Okay, I'm going to lay out on this. I watched like the first minute of the trailer, and then I stopped to honor my. I wanted to see get a taste of it, but I wanted to also kind of stay pure. So you guys can talk about it. I already heard about the villain, etc. You guys can talk about it.
That's the only real thing.
I can't add anything because I just literally tagged out after like 1 minute of the trailer.
Yeah, I think literally the obviously the spoilers here for the trailer. If that's a problem for you.
No, go ahead.
Starro confirmed.
Yeah.
Not. I don't think Starro is like the villain. I'm assuming the general guy is the villain, but Starro, I'm assuming used by the major villain as a weapon of some form. I have never been more excited for a movie in my life. Now, don't get me wrong. Guardians of the Galaxy was incredible. Guardians of the Galaxy 2 was very disappointing to me. I thought the jokes were way overdone, and at the expense of the characters and did not fit, and were, as my wife proved, were easily edited out of the movie to make a much more superior film. If you don't remember that story, go back and listen to when Leanne edited all the jokes out of Guardians of the Galaxy 2 for me, and it was incredible. The trailer looks great. The comedy looks great. The action looks great. Obviously, the characters and the villains are amazing. I hope this is more Guardians 1 ramped up because it's rated R, and less just jokes for joke's sake. I really like James Gunn, but I thought Guardians 2 the comedy got in the way of the story too much, and he did a pretty big disservice to Drax in that movie. I really disliked what they turned him into in that movie. So, that said, I'm 50-50. I'm 60-40 maybe. I'm more positive than negative on him, but I am very excited
Have
for
you
this.
seen John Cena in any of the comedy movies he's done?
Yeah, I've seen him in something. I can't remember what.
Cockblockers?
I saw him in something. I don't remember what it was. But no. The comedy makes sense in this, and it should be a dark... it should be a black comedy with lots of weirdness, because it's James Gunn, and it's going to be fucking Polka Dot Man getting his head blown off while the Starroed. So that's the most amazing sentence that's ever been spoken in the English language.
What, you didn't like Ratcatcher just licking the window?
Oh, yeah. No, that's totally fine. Yeah.
I think for me it was, holy crap, they got Sly Stallone to voice Killer Shark.
That's really good.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
King Shark.
King Shark. I was like,
totally different character.
Yeah. Sorry.
Charlie, Peter Capaldi.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good thinker. I like that a lot. He looks... That's good. That's really good.
It's pulled from Patch Zurcher's rendition of him in the comic.
Yeah, sure. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Everybody saw who implants bombs.
Oh yeah, it's
Ostrander.
Yeah, John Ostrander. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Did you see that, Kevin?
Yeah.
So he's John Ostrander is gonna be in this. Man, I'm just more excited. More than anything. No. Second to Starro, because Starro is the greatest villain in all of comic book history. They were getting more Captain America.
What about Mr. Mind? Are you more excited for Mr. Mind, or are you more excited for Starro?
I mean, it's like,
I know Kevin is more excited for
no,
Mr.
dude.
Mind.
I can't. I don't know that I could answer. Although, wait, I didn't see Starro in this trailer, so I can't really comment.
They don't focus on him. It's just it's a second. It's not. Okay. Yeah, he's in the back. It's not a thing. I mean, we saw it, but I don't even know that the regular audience would have even. They probably wouldn't have even noticed it. It's a quick scene, and you don't really see a lot. It's not like, here's the villain, and he's the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man walking down the sidewalk. He's just in the background, and you can totally not even see it if you aren't paying attention.
They call him a kaiju.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And the best part is oh god, I can't remember his name. Bloodsport, the actor that plays Bloodsport.
Yeah.
Idris Elba.
Idris Elba was in Pacific Rim.
Yeah. Yeah, and Peacemaker looks very fun, very funny.
The guy with a toilet seat on his head.
I'm excited for the show too. Yeah, hopefully, it's, there's serious stuff to him too, but he's a bit of an asshole, so it's a fun character. Polka Dot Man, very excited. Yeah, lots of good fun there.
We're gonna get more fun. Margaret Robbie as Harley. I'm sold.
Yeah. I kind of wonder how much she's gonna be in it. If she's gonna be a pretty big role, or it's a big ensemble, so I expect she'll be a major part of it, but it's possible that she may be not as much as the other movie.
So what I hope this movie does is I hope it does so well that they want to do more Suicide Squad movies, and it's just they start doing them like Bond movies with missions, but they have an ensemble cast every single time where they just get everybody who's popular and just obliterate them however they want.
What's the Expendables?
Mm-hmm.
It's like the comic book Expendables.
Yeah,
literally Expendables. I mean, it's Suicide Squad, right? That'd be very, very fun.
I will say that I think compared to almost any other comic book movie, I think it's pretty safe to say we will probably get the most comic book characters in any movie ever in Suicide Squad.
Endgame.
Even with Endgame, well,
a lot of characters.
No, you're right.
Endgame had a lot of characters.
Endgame had a lot more built up between all the other movies, but I kind of feel like Suicide Squad is just going to be one of those movies where you can't pick a scene where they don't have somebody notable somewhere.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like DC's just gave them a list of like, here's the 300 characters you can use, and they're just like, let's see how many of these we can check off.
Toby's yelling. I don't know what.
He's still yelling?
I don't know what he's yelling about. Toby, we don't understand what you're yelling about. We got more news, though. Something else. Black Adam. Official. It's happening. July 29th, 2022. Black Adam's coming to theaters. And, just HBO Max, probably. My hope is we will quickly get a date for. Did they give a date for Shazam too? I don't think so. They did cast. Oh, but they didn't even add this to the list.
The Helen Mirren or the Pierce Brosnan?
Both. Well, Pierce Brosnan got officially announced to play Dr. Fate in Shazam.
Yeah,
which is
in Black Adam.
Amazing.
In Black Adam.
Or Black Adam. Yeah. Sorry. In Black Adam. Correct. And Helen Mirren is going to play. Helen Mirren is going to play Hespera in Shazam: Fury of the Gods. I don't think they've given a date for that yet. So that is Atlas's daughter, and she. All it's pulling up is stuff with Helen Mirren. I want an actual DC Comics info. Oh sure, comic book resources. Give me your news. Where did she? Literally, there's nothing.
Doesn't she show up with the Wonder Woman stuff occasionally?
Yeah, no. I was gonna say I don't know that there was actually a.
Unless she was in like character. War of the Gods or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's bizarre that she's not actually in. I mean, it's an ancient Greek character, but I'm surprised there actually isn't a DC comic version. That's an odd choice.
Well, the only Atlas in DC Comics is that Jack Kirby one with the red like hood, the one who came back in the James Robinson Superman.
Yeah, but it's but I'm assuming that's not
right. So, well, I mean, they're going to have to do a lot of invention just for this movie because I don't think that character has been in comics. Her character.
No, right. So I mean, it's an actual Greek myth character, and has Atlas been in? I have to assume that through Wonder Woman or War of the Gods or something, but no, maybe not. Maybe just that first issue special version. Who was that? Was that Kirby?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was Kirby. Yeah. That's odd. Yeah, there's no way they're connecting to that character. So, yeah, I don't know. It seems a weird choice, but Fury of the Gods, right? So they're going to introduce more gods. I would guess going to relate to Wonder Woman somehow, right? Because it's all the power of the gods run through Shazam. So it would make sense. But Mr. Mime, I don't care who Helen Mirren's playing, as long as Mr. Mind's in this movie. He must be the true villain behind it all, as foretold.
So we've got a movie called Fury of the Gods, and you're saying that the main villain is going to be a worm.
Has to be. Has to be.
Giant mythological battles, all orchestrated by
it's the
worm with glasses and a radio.
Yeah, it's the Fury of the Gods. It's the Fury of the Gods against the worm.
I hope you're right, Ryan, but I'm just afraid that you're not.
Kevin, me and you did not give a standing ovation.
I know.
At the end of Shazam, when comic accurate Mr. Mind showed up to be denied him in the sequel.
Well, let's just say this is not the first time I've had a part of my anatomy tickled and not paid off. If you remember the end of Guardians 2, which also could have gotten a standing clap.
Give it time. Give it time.
Yeah, so we'll see.
Warlock will come around someday. Yeah.
Charlie, you like the Pierce Brosnan casting?
Yes, I do.
And that's for...
I kind of feel like he has the right gravitas for Fate.
Yeah. Well, what am I... I'm blanking on his name.
Who? The actor or the character?
No, the character. Dr. Fate is...
Kent Nelson.
Kent Nelson, thank you. Yeah. No, perfect. Perfect casting.
Yeah, it's an odd choice, but... Oh, well, I'll say odd choice. I assumed they would have gone with
the newer kid,
the younger kid.
I can't remember his name.
Yeah, why am I blanking on his name?
From the Paul Levitz mini, right?
It'll come to me. Yeah, just based on the casting for the rest of the movie, I did not picture Kent Nelson.
Khalid Nassour.
Khalid. I was just not picturing. Well, I mean, I have to assume he's playing Kent Nelson. Have they?
Yeah, they said.
Confirmed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So yeah.
Well, he could even be speaking through the helmet or whatnot. Just because he's playing Fate doesn't mean there's only one incarnation of Fate in it.
Yeah. That's fine.
Because obviously he's going to be a much older portrayal, and so there's nothing that helmet isn't handed off to somebody else in the course of the movie.
Yeah, by the end of it or something.
Well, does Constantine bring the helm into the movie? That's my question.
I don't imagine Constantine is going to be in this, but
wasn't that where we saw Fate's helmet last? Was in the Constantine TV show?
Well, but those are. I mean, it's not the same.
I know. Still.
Yeah. So super weird. A lot of weird casting. No, that's a weird casting. A lot of crazy casting is how I meant it. A lot of movies. It's 2022 is going to be stacked because all the delayed 2021 stuff plus everything else. It's going to be a lot of stuff.
So you're saying from now on, everything's going to kind of be on a good pacing track?
I hope so. I hope so. We don't know, but that would be nice. I think we're going to move on to some spoiler talk here. Brock?
Yes.
You watched Invincible? Charlie, did you watch? I didn't ask you. Did you watch Invincible?
No, not as of right now. I meant to pop it on earlier today, but ran out of time.
Okay. Brock, this is all you, baby.
Woo!
It is up for some Invincible talk.
Keep it spoiler light, please.
I thought he just had spoilers.
I mean...
Yeah. No, I know.
It's the first three. It's like the first story arc. Yeah.
They dropped the first three episodes, and it is very, very close to what the comic book is, story-wise. They've changed up a couple things. The animation style is really well done. Awkward casting for the voice of Omni-Man. Why am I blanking on his name? God. Simmons. What's his?
J.K. Simmons.
J.K. Simmons, yeah. It takes some getting used to as him as the voice of Omni-Man. But everything else works really, really well in the show. One thing I don't like about the show is instead of it having like a normal credit roll or like a title sequence thing, the first time anyone says Invincible in the show, they don't actually say Invincible. It cuts to the title screen that gets blood splattered on it, and then they move on. So it was really jarring in the first episode because it doesn't happen until like the end, and then it happens right away in the next one. So it's just me that I just didn't like it. They do have after credit scenes, but after a short credit, they do an extra scene. So it's definitely, when you watch it, make sure you get through that part. But yeah, overall, I think they've done a fantastic job so far. It falls into the category of The Boys in like just what they're going for with the gore, and they can be a little bit more aggressive with it because it's a cartoon. But yeah, I think Amazon is doing a really good job with it. So I'm excited to see more. I think they drop on Fridays, if I'm not mistaken, is when they drop on Friday. So yeah, so I'll be watching it going forward.
Yeah, I definitely want to watch it. I just have not.
I wouldn't say it's something that you absolutely positively have to watch week to week. I might start like stockpiling them because at least the show is coming across kind of how Robert Kirkman writes, in that there's stuff happens and then there's a kind of a reveal, and then more stuff happens and then there's a reveal. So it's kind of this, I like bigger chunks of it versus here's a little dose, here's a little dose, here's a little dose.
Sure. They're half an hour, right? 20 something.
No, they're like 45 minutes long. It's almost an hour.
Are they hour long episodes?
Yeah.
Oh shit! I didn't know that.
They're longer. They're like 40 some odd minutes. Really good.
They're half an hour.
One thing I had an issue with tech wise was volume control, and I think this is just Amazon, just how they do their service. The dialogue is really quiet, and the action scenes are really loud. So, Justice League, I had no problems with Justice League. I put it on the same volume. It was fine. I could hear it. It was great. This one, I actually have to turn it up to hear people and then turn it down when an action scene starts. So if anyone else experiences that, let me know, because it might be like just my TV app, or I don't know. But I'm curious to see if it affects anybody else.
I kind of remember stuff being a little quiet on the Amazon Prime app, but I'll check. Yeah, that sounds
it's
like
definitely something where you'll notice it, because just just a difference in volume. So, sure. But yeah, no, it's definitely worth a watch. Invincible is an amazing comic anyway. It's Robert Kirkman's doing an amazing job taking every trope, stereotypical thing in a superhero comic book in the superhero world and making it actually its own individual original thing. Even though it's, at one point in time in the thing, you blatantly see his love of a certain character and why this character, like why, so and it's obvious that Mark is written to emulate a certain character in the DC universe. So
it's cool.
But yeah, no, definitely well worth a watch.
Yeah. Cool. I'm excited. Finally, before we wrap up, we are going to talk about some Falcon and Winter Soldier. Kevin and Toby, hopefully you guys can hear each other a little bit to have some.
You'll just be the traffic cop. Just signal when one is not talking.
And yeah, we'll go as spoilery as we want to, pretty much for these first two episodes. I don't know that we'll have quite the level of discussion that we had for WandaVision, but we'll definitely gonna have a few things to say. I will start by saying, and I think Toby agrees with me a little bit. I haven't talked to anyone else about it yet. For how excited I was after that first episode of WandaVision and how excited I was for the show in general, I question the way they started the show. There was a big action scene, but that first episode was
boring.
Very dull.
It honestly reminded me of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and how I felt like, okay, this is going to be great. It's going to be something. And then that first pilot episode was just, huh?
Yeah. There just wasn't a lot. Hey, stop barking. There wasn't a lot going on. There was a couple cool action sequences, but I thought it was very bizarre. And
I'll say this much, though, before we go too far in it, though, that just this little spoiler ahead, that I really wish they showed the first 2 episodes at once. I know there's only 6 of these, but it made a huge difference. But continue on the first one. But I just want to, before people say I'm tating too much, I'm saying there's more to come in this conversation.
I'm going to translate for Kevin because Kevin's just chuckling because he can't hear you.
So it's like random syllables in that robotic metallic thing, and you and Brock nodding and going, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're worshiping at the altar of the machine god. Yes. Command me.
Toby says he wished the first 2 episodes were aired together because it would have been a better experience. Because I agree. I think
I
the second episode was significantly better. But I did have a weird problem, and I don't know if anyone else kind of noticed this. They just get together out of nowhere in the second episode. Did I miss something? They're not they don't even. Do they even talk in the first episode?
No. In the first episode,
no. What brings them together is that the news footage at the end of the first episode.
Right, and it ends with them. It ends with them seeing the news footage, and then all of a sudden they're just together in the second episode.
Yeah, Bucky tracks him down somehow.
Yeah, Bucky ambushes him because he's the one that gave away the shield.
Yeah, he's mad. He shows up with Falcon and goes, "What the fuck?"
Yeah, but it's just like Falcon's or Bucky's just like, I'm just gonna roll up and
well, he's got it
pretty much. That's what I would do if you piss me off. I roll up the store and go, "What the hell?"
Even when it's closed.
Okay, my new comparison is, Ryan, you guys are now like Luke Skywalker C-3PO translating R2. Like, yes, R2, good point.
This is going to be even better. This is going to be even better if it comes out and the audio exports and it doesn't export properly, and so it does sound like that to everyone else.
So Toby will be our mechanical Groot for the episode.
We'll see what happens. I just felt like I did not realize Bucky and Falcon at the start of the show were just like, oh yeah, I'm just going to stop by and say hey to Bucky or say hey to Falcon. Like,
well, Falcon was on a mission or an op or something, and Bucky just shows up, and you're like,
yeah,
is he tracking Red Wing
and
or something?
Isn't Bucky wanted by the government? Isn't he?
Well, but they already covered the fact that he was pardoned, but has to go to therapy.
But he can.
Oh, that's right.
But he can hop countries.
What?
He can hop between countries.
It was a little bit.
Why not? He's a special agent.
Yeah, it was a little bit of an odd introduction.
How do you get that arm through customs?
It's just a bit of an odd start. But
no, man, if I'm pissed at you, Ryan, I'll just show up at the store and yell at you. So if I'm pissed at Falcon, I'll just show up where he works and yell at him.
It was just a bit of an odd. Kevin, I'm so sorry.
I wish you guys could hear it because it's so great because it just literally sounds like bleeps and bloops, and then you go, "Yeah, well, that's a good point too."
I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do.
Best episode ever.
I'll let Kevin and Toby have their conversations like independent of each other, and then we'll just go. But I thought it was the second episode was much better. I love to hate U.S. Agent. He's such a prick. I think you feel a little bit for him in the second episode, but he also just comes off like a dick.
Oh, dude,
at the same time.
The whole thing with the police car, like while waiting there and doing the sirens, I was like, oh, perfectly done.
Yeah. I think the action's great. I like seeing them together, and I hope the rest of the show is as good as the second episode.
I loved that they included Isaiah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Had that been revealed? I had never even heard that.
No, I don't think
that was such a great surprise, and it was so well done.
That was like a highlight for me too.
We want, yes, Toby, that was a highlight for you as well. I'm sorry. Can you hear Kevin?
Yep.
Oh, that's so fucking weird.
What did he say?
He said yes.
Okay.
Yes, R2.
Maybe if Toby starts talking, Toby starts talking like he's broken, it will actually come across okay for Kevin.
Anyway, we're just gonna keep going. There's not even a chance. I mean, they are just setting up Young Avengers, just top to bottom, every single character, yeah. So we have Patriot now, so done. Okay, so we have almost the entire team at this point. So yeah, it was good start, good action. Sorry, not a great start, but good second episode. Great action, very funny moments between them. I like their little back and forth.
They're a grumpy old men vibe.
Yeah. I hope it continues. I actually also, man, I had no idea. Did anyone know Flag Smasher was like the villain in this? I thought It was all Zemo. Like, well, it's not really Flag Smasher, but you know what I mean. Flag Smasher, the concept. The fuck? When the hell has that dude been in a comic book? Has he been in anything? Like, that's like 30 years? I'm sure he's been in like half the Captain America books, and I just don't remember.
So
it's such a different take on the character, but it's good. It makes sense.
Flag Smasher appearances, got it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he was in the Brubaker run at some point. I'm just totally drawing a blank.
Wait, wasn't the Flag Smasher the dude in the Jessica Jones show? Or what was that guy?
Nuke.
Jessica Jones?
Nuke.
Yeah.
No, Nuke. Yeah, Nuke.
Oh, okay. I'm mixing them up. All right.
Yeah. No, Flag Smasher is some dude in like a white costume, some white costume and cape. But the idea of the Flag Smashers being like a group of people that want to like, you know, tear down borders and walls and shit, that's a cool idea. Yeah, I like that. That translates well because Flag Smasher as a character is nothing. Like nobody cares about that character, so it's a good interpretation.
They're also doing a really nice job of weaving the Thanos snap and the comeback into all of these stories. They're really a nice job, not just like putting it on like icing on top of a cake. They're like weaving it organically into the story and the character motivations. Really well done. Yeah, both this and WandaVision, and I imagine some of the other movies coming.
Yeah, I assume it's. I don't want to say they're gonna stop talking about it like right away. It might go on a little too much because these things are supposed to be kind of in real time. So we're a year. What is it? 2023? Is that when they're supposed to be back from the blip? Is that what the current year is supposed to be? Is that math right? 2024?
I don't remember.
When was Endgame?
Oh, it was 5 years ahead of whenever that year was.
Or when was Infinity War? 2018. So 2023, I believe it's 2023. So yeah. I mean, we're 2023, 2024. I felt the plot. I don't mind the whole plot about Bucky having to do the therapy and Falcon's sister not being able to get a loan. That's interesting. They just did nothing with it.
So I like the Winter Soldier therapy stuff, and I liked sort of where they had Bucky. And those problems didn't bother me as much as watching Falcon trying to get a loan while he's still apparently an active military in some form, active Avenger, and yet has no income history to there was a weird transition there that made it seem like I understand he was on the run. I understand that he was blipped, but I kind of feel like there was a sense of believability missing if he's basically just apparently doing everything for the military and superheroics and stuff with no form of income whatsoever.
Yeah. that is a cool plot that they could deal with in a show. Maybe not this show, but in a show. And it just sort of was like, here's the thing. But I guess we're just never going to discuss it again.
Well, I think for me, when I was watching that first episode, it was, okay, they're trying to give us a little more character building with these two characters, which I completely understand. And the stuff with, Bucky and therapy really, really works. But yeah, the stuff with Falcon was just like, okay, he's got a sister. Yeah. And he's got a sister. And, oh, look, she's having financial problems with a fishing boat. Like, it's kind of out of left field where, like, Falcon's backstory comes from. And so I think that's why it's very jarring. Not to mention, wouldn't he be out doing endorsements half the time if he was not on active duty? Like,
yeah.
He would be doing the con circuit.
I feel like they would have. Figured out a way to have these guys make money, whether it's Tony Stark giving them, the smallest of stipend or something. But yeah. Kevin, why don't you buckle in for a second? Toby, you were pretty critical of that first episode, but what do you think coming into the second one?
Like I said, I really, really enjoyed the second one. I wish that was shown as one episode. I do like the cliffhanger endings that both episodes had, but I really, really like what episode 2 brought, because it's basically the first Captain America book I read was with John Walker, was with Battlestar, was with all these characters that are now in the show, so I'm like super psyched about it. I also liked Isaiah's involvement, which I thought was a nice little touch and nice little highlight for me in that episode. So no, I'm like really, really into it now. While in the first episode, I have flashbacks of the negative stuff of the Netflix show, where there's a lot of talking and not a lot of happening going on. So I was a little afraid, but I feel like these Disney Plus shows got to be looked at as like full movies, so I can't really judge them until I watch the whole thing through, because just by the second episode, I completely 180'd for me, because I'm super stoked about it. I also was critical about the guy who plays John Walker. I guess he's Kurt Russell's son? Is that who he is?
I do not know. Is it? I'll take a look.
Yeah, I want to say I read somewhere he was Kurt Russell's son. Look, I was a big I was rooting big time for the guy who plays Hawk and Titans to be John Walker, because I felt like he could play the asshole part really well. He could play the defeated part really well, and then he could really play the redeeming factor really well. This guy, though, is playing the asshole part really, really well, to a point I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. I'm just afraid that they are maybe, using John Walker just as this kind of like almost maybe a throwaway character. Like, we probably see him for this arc, and maybe that'll be it. So they may have not further plans for him, but I kind of wanted to see more of him down the line. But the way they handled him, I thought it was great. You do want to hate him in this, especially, or not like him. So
yeah. He's Kurt Russell's and Goldie Hawn's kid, huh? I had no idea.
Yeah, I just think he looks a little funny with the mask on. That's why I think that's why I didn't like that first reveal of him. But without the mask, and like I said, the way he plays him makes a lot of sense.
It's Kurt Russell's a Disney lifer. I mean, he was a kid actor, for a child actor for Disney movies. So yeah, I mean, it makes sense that his kid would be involved in this too. Yeah, and I think he does a good job of playing. Like, U.S. Agent has an interesting path of, I don't want to say villain, but antagonist to Captain America.
Yeah.
And then,
well, not just Cap, but later Hawkeye and a bunch of other people too.
Yeah. He becomes a good guy. He becomes a hero, but he's definitely not Captain America. He's definitely his own thing. But I'm just they sort of are playing him up as not the villain in this, but they're definitely he's up against Falcon and Winter Soldier, but they're on the same side.
To do it. Yeah, I mean that's the way you do it, right? Yeah.
I would not want him to be a villain in the show, but antagonistic is the correct way to play him.
Yep.
But you still want, I would love to see all four of them team up at the very end, right? To fight. What's that?
Or him getting his ass completely whipped, but
well, they fight first, and then they team up at the end. Come on, because I mean, the goal. I'm assuming the goal here is U.S. Agent does still become a good guy, and he's no longer Captain America by the end of the show. That'd be my guess, right? He's U.S. Agent.
I was surprised because remember when the first trailer came out, and I was really hoping for Battlestar. I was really surprised that Battlestar is actually in it now. So
yeah,
cool.
Kevin, what do you think?
I can't comment on anything that was just said. There were there were 5 sentences that were crystal clear during all of that, though, which was crazy.
Internet's coming back.
Okay,
the world's healing.
My opinion on U.S. Agent, the show
in general. Yeah,
love the second episode. The first one was fine. The first one is what I was afraid it would be when they announced it, and the second one is the better version of that. And I love Isaiah being in it. And see, I was talking about this. I don't remember what our topic was, but God, for new listeners, I've complained about this often enough about kind of making the hero less unique by making a bunch of other characters with those same powers, like the Shazam family in that movie, for instance. But I like that the U.S. Agent doesn't have Captain America's powers. And I like that Isaiah does. And that's a really interesting way because it doesn't take away from the Captain America story. It enriches it. I'm talking about the Isaiah character. It enriches the story and is really interesting and doesn't undercut anything from the past and everything you knew is a lie. It finds a space in continuity to fold in an interesting idea that makes total sense given the time period when those events were set.
When we were watching it, I turned to Leanne and she was like, was that guy a super soldier? I was like, before they gave the serum to white Steve Rogers,
of course.
She was like, oh, of course they gave it to a black guy to test on. Yeah, sure, of course, right? Yeah.
I just thought that scene was great. I kind of want him to come back, and I don't want him to come back because that one scene was just so perfect. Yeah. I almost just don't want to. I don't know. And I know I'm in a minority. I'm on an island on this show, but I'll stand with it. Zemo is possibly my favorite MCU villain, or if not favorite, top two for sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it but I don't actually know. What's everyone else think of?
Well, that Civil War is in my top 5 of all of the movies.
Yeah.
And I think he's Loki's the flashier villain, obviously, the big showier part. Hela's a more dramatic as far as destruction and stuff like that. But I love that Zemo is sorry to use this word discussing it with comics, is a quote unquote real character. Not out to take over the world. I'm not shooting the beam up in the sky. Yeah. I'm not, don't have an army of aliens. I'm just a dude with a mission, and I'm going to manipulate events to make that happen. So I'm totally psyched that maybe he's the villain of this. I don't know. I love that he's in this, and I can't wait to see the iconic mask. I'm so ready. I'm as ready, Ryan, as you are for Starro. The Zemo mask.
No, I am too. I've said this from the start. I want this to be Zemo, actually Zemo.
Yeah.
I do not feel I got that in a Civil War.
You got the prequel to that Zemo.
Yeah.
It makes sense for this villain to be in this show, though, because it seems like Winter Soldier and Falcon are a little more grounded than other superheroes. So having him as kind of the chess matching bad guy overall in the show, I think makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I got no problem with Zemo.
Wait, translate that, Ryan.
He thinks Zemo is a great villain to be in the show.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I need to rewatch Civil War and just pull back my opinion of the believability of this version of Zemo and see if I can find
So I like the character in Civil War, but I don't like. So Civil War suffered from the heroes are behaving in ways that I don't think they necessarily manipulated very well to sort of set the situation up. Like I kind of feel like a lot of the arguments felt a little flat because of who was saying what and that kind of thing in Civil War. But that had nothing necessarily to do with the Zemo character. That was more the writing of the heroes. So I'm excited to see a more fully realized chess player, basically, in this version of Zemo.
Yeah, I God, I don't want to go on about Civil War again, but I did not buy that version of that character having that ability, to do the things he did. We talked about BVS, the director's cut, right, and how it didn't work in the original version, but in the director's cut, I Luther, despite whatever you think of his personality, the moves worked in that movie to get Batman and Superman to come to ahead, yeah. As as kind of brief as it was, and they figured it out pretty quickly. But yeah, it just didn't work for me in Civil War. I just felt those characters like Charlie said, did not act in ways they would have acted. So it sort of took away from. I want a comic accurate Zemo. I want the master manipulator. I want the terrorist, not quite the right word, but that's a great idea. He's a great character. I'm a huge Thunderbolts fan. My classic Zemo knowledge, other than his Avengers appearances, are kind of minor. I haven't read too much like the early Cap stuff he's in, but when
he was at the Brubaker stuff was amazing with him.
Well, yeah. So the more modern stuff in Thunderbolts obviously is where I kind of fell in love with that character. So he's a real scumbag in there, and it's great. And I just didn't get that in Civil War. So I need to revisit Civil War, and I may actually try to do that on Thursday before the new episode comes.
That was one of my rewatches, quarantine rewatches.
Yeah. I might need to.
Well, I know we're going late, so we don't need to relitigate old movies that we have whole episodes about. I'll just say the greatest compliment I can pay Civil War is I remember when we were watching it in the theater, I was so invested in the first half of that movie, the espionage story, before even any of the Civil War stuff really starts, that when Tom Holland showed up, I was like, oh shit, I forgot Spider-Man was even in this. Because I was so interested in the Black Panther story, the terrorist bombing, the Crossbones, all of that stuff. And I would love if this show kind of captured that flavor. Not the second half, the airport fight and Cap and Iron Man, the first half. I would love if this show kind of went back and mined that ground some more.
Well, for me, Zemo in Civil War it felt like he was searching for something to take care of something, to work on that manipulation. And like, I really got that in the middle with Bucky when he's going through the list of words and stuff like that, the code phrases. But it kind of falls apart towards the end with like his motivation and stuff. And I think that's where it's difficult, at least for me to I want to see the Zemo character be manipulative, and he kind of is, but it's like there's almost two different characters.
But his at the okay, we're getting into it, and I'll shut up. This is my last thing I'll say. The scene with him and T'Challa at the end of Civil War is possibly my favorite MCU scene that's not super powered based. I just think it's brilliant. The acting is great. The writing is great. That character's mission was done. He was going to kill himself. T'Challa stopped him. So you would have never had Pink Mask Zemo, the master supervillain. His mission was done. He got those heroes turned against each other. He assassinated those soldiers that were frozen in that Russian compound. And that's all he wanted to do. He killed that Hydra agent to get the book, to get to Bucky, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. All the chess pieces were done, and his journey was done. And so I think it's really interesting now. What are they going to do with that character who was ready to die? He wasn't like, haha, I'll get you again. I'll be back. You haven't seen the last of Zemo. He was done. So I just think it's such rich storytelling because it's not like any of the other villains that they've used.
Well, and did he blip, right? Like, was he one of the blips?
Any last thoughts, Toby or Charlie? I don't think we heard much from you.
Just excited for more.
Yeah.
All right. We will be back next week. I'll figure out how to edit this episode together.
For the sake of the listeners, I hope everything comes through technically fine. On a selfish perspective, I hope everybody could hear it the way I heard it.
Thank you all for listening to at least some of this episode.
This episode in 10 years, baby.
I'm going to assume this is not going up before I go to bed tonight. We'll see what I can get done. Thank you to all our top tier Patreon backers at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. That's Joe Duff, Jesse Peterson at the Comic Book Matters Podcast, Jimmy Rivera at the Social Forum Podcast, Andrew Nelson Mendez at Recovery of an Anime Junkie Podcast, and Craig Anderson over at Clear Path Coaches. Go check out all those guys and their work. A lot of good stuff over there. Thank you for your support at patreon.com/comic conspiracy. You can check out comicconspiracypodcast.com, Apple Podcast, and Spotify for all our previous episodes. Head over to comicsconspiracy.biz for all your comic book needs. You can buy stuff from there. You can pick them up. You can ship them. Do whatever you want. This week's books are a little late. We'll see if they're here in the morning.
Crap. I just realized that kind of screws with my shipping schedule for the end of the month.
It sure does. Hopefully we get the pallet in the morning. I'm going to call FedEx after I get off.
If it's there in the morning, I'm okay. If it's not
there tomorrow. It's not tomorrow. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
Even if it's midday, we can get through everything. ConspiratorBrock.com. That's Brock's blog, video polos, unboxing videos. You can check out his work over there. Charlie has the Doctor Who podcast called Wanderers in the Fourth Dimension. Go check out Between the Panels at fanbasepress.com. That is Kevin Sharp's weekly interview series with all sorts of great creators. Yeah, he really does interview. Brian Cunningham, I think, was one of those. I actually meant to, he left. I meant to say thank you for linking me to the Brian Cunningham article, editor from DC. And my wife, Leanne, you can find at leannehill.com and etsy.com/shop/leannehillart. That is where all her art is available. If you're on Twitter, you can follow all of us, including Brock.
Yeah.
It's back on Twitter. I'm at Ryan Higgins Ryan. Brock is Best Basement, BES Basement. Toby is Toby XI. Charlie's Insanity in Chaos. Kevin is at Kevin Sharp, and the store is Comics Con Store. No Geek Box this week. There was a bit of an emergency. We had to postpone recording right at the last minute, but that's okay. We'll be back next week. And go listen to Manga Machinations, our wonderful friends over there. Talk about manga and anime. Thank you, everyone. Let's hope you heard Toby, at least during some of this podcast. I'm going to go stop this recording, and I'm going to figure out how that worked. So we'll see you guys later.